Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another lovely Wednesday class. Please say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming from. If you notice, I've written hello, everyone, but it says Cliff above it, but that's just the account that it's on. It's me working today. Hello. And we have the lovely Sarah, Bob, and Son on chat. So if there's any questions, feel free to put them in. At the moment, my chat line doesn't seem to be showing anything, so maybe the computer's a bit slow today. Here we go. We have Annick from Belgium. Hello. Good morning, Sarah. And there's James from Somerset, Suzanne, and Titus. Hello, hello, everyone. It's always so nice to see everyone saying good morning. Or hello. It may not be morning where you're coming from, so wherever you are. Hello. So we are carrying on with the earth element, as Kat had beautifully got us started. And we do this working on an element leading up to a certain weekend in the college year. And we do this because we like to open up our element weekends at the college for people who would like to come along and join in. And this is what we're doing. So not this weekend coming, but after next week's Wednesday class on the Saturday, we're going to be opening up the Shiatsu College here in Norwich for those people who would like to come and drop in. Now, being people who are already of the Wednesday class, you will be getting an email at some point soon. So as you can see, November the 1st is today. We're going to be looking at the point Spleen 3. Next Wednesday is the 8th, and then the following weekend, which I believe is the 11th and 12th, is the college weekend, which you can join in with. So the elements, which if you've been to these classes, we go over lots and lots and lots. We'll come to more information in a minute. I'll just drop that down. Just wanted to drop that in first. As I get us to start as usual, let's take a moment as a circle. So you can do the sitting down, standing up as you please. Leave the typing for a moment, and let's just close our eyes for a moment. Tune into a sense of being in a circle of people. And this is all of the people who are joining in with today's live class, as well as anyone who is joining in at another point. I'm sure you are all aware by now that in some sense or other, time and space are more playful than we used to think of them as. So everyone is here together in this class. Have a sense of togetherness, a sense of the group, and a sense of thanks. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. You can open your eyes and come back. It's just nice to start and end in this way to really set the class feeling up. Okay, so we've been working on the different levels, physical level, emotional level. We're going to be working more with the mental level today. And then next week, Wednesday, is the more spiritual level. Of course, they're not really separate. They're just different aspects of the same thing, different faces on a beautiful gem that is our own being. So we'll be looking more at the mental quality, you could say. And this is of the earth element, which is the stomach and spleen organs and the Qi, the energy of those organs. I'm going to bring this up again because there's something I quite want to just go into very briefly, which is something that you can play with in your own time, or you can just let it go however you prefer. You'll notice on the slide here, we have each of the 5 elements going around. So fire, earth, metal, water, wood. And as we've said before, wood, spring, fire, that's when summer starts to really heat up. Earth is as the summer cools down and you've got more of the harvest time. Metal is more the autumn. That's the stage that we're in at the moment in England. Water is really winter. And then, of course, you come back out into spring. So one leads on to another, or one gives birth to another. And the elements in terms of what they are as qualities, so fire, earth, metal, water, wood, they are said to give birth to each other. So the fire, what is burnt down, the ash and the remnants will fall and become a layer that is the ground. And that is the next layer, the earth. If we dig deeper into the earth, from it we get the metal ore, the precious metals and jewels, thus the metal element. And it goes on like this. But there's another quality to this that I wanted to bring to your attention. And this is called the controlling cycle. And that is where one element will skip another one and go along. So the wood element will skip the fire element and control the earth. And it's useful being aware of this, because if we can come to recognize any signs and symptoms in ourselves, then we can start to see where in us we might be able to tweak a couple of little things. So say our earth element is a little out of balance, and physically we're feeling far more heavy and damp and sluggish, and emotionally we're worrying and over sympathizing, or feeling like there's no sympathy and empathy at all, and we feel a bit sort of stodgy and cut off, both of which can happen. Then we can look at the earth element to stabilize those things. But we can also look at, as I said, the fire produces the earth. So we could look at the fire element to help produce and strengthen more of that earth element. If the earth feels a bit out of control, then what we can look at also is the wood element. And it's said that the roots of the plant in the wood element hold the earth together. And so that's a lovely way of just visualizing that. And I wanted to just bring that to your attention, because each of them have this quality where they'll skip an element to control the next one in a useful way. Okay, now that that has been laid out to you, and that may come in handy later on, we shall see what we shall see. As it says, earth element, grounding, fairly obvious. Digestion, also fairly obvious. The mind, clear thinking. Clear thinking. Now, this might be especially useful if we look at this, where we have physicality, digestion, also front of the body, so muscles and tissues and flesh in the front. Emotionally, sympathy, nurturing, worry, anxiety, like I was saying a moment ago. Mental level, intellect. And that's a bit of a vague, odd one, but I'll explain a bit more why. And it's kind of like, it's a bit like chewing something over. You can digest something mentally. You have the intellectual capacity to take something on, like you are eating something, and then digest it over and absorb it in, you see. So this is like literally you are digesting on a mental level. But it also gives us that, is our mind a bit foggy and heavy and sluggish, or is it clear and like energy is able to be clearly out and taking things in and bite-sized chunks? So I'm sure all of us have had those moments where we felt more sluggish in the mind. To be honest, I've got a little bit of that at the moment. And we've had these lovely points, stomach 36, spleen 6. Today's spleen 3. We shall come back to that in a bit. No more slides for the moment. Okay. So I've chatted a bit. Apologies. What I'd like us to do is stand up, or you can do this sitting down as well. We're going to do a bit of a scan, really, really brief scan, and a bit of an exercise. Sorry, heating was left on. I suddenly realized, oh, it's really hot in here. We're going to do a brief exercise to get a sense of really like the feeling of when energy is up here, or the feeling of when our energy is more down here, to give us a really clear indication of how we felt, and do we feel more up or more down. And this will be a little uncomfortable. I'm going to get my glasses so I can actually see properly. So this will be a little uncomfortable. Bear with me though, because it will yield a lot of information for us and really help as the class goes on. So you can do this sitting. It is preferable to do it standing. Up to you. Feet about hip to shoulder width apart, planted firmly on the ground. And just soften in the ankles, the knees and the hips. Allow your base to be nice and steady. Spine just naturally standing up straight. Shoulders relaxed away from the midline, arms hanging freely. If you're sitting, just letting your hands resting on your lap. Pardon me. Already getting my digestion going by going into my alignment. Head gently floating up, spine hanging down, sacrum sinking. There we go. So now I want you to imagine having that connection from above. So we've got the heavens around us, all the way around us, and we're connecting from above, head gently floating up, feeling that openness and the spaciousness and the light and movement of the skies and heavens all around us. But now feeling that through our body, all the way, and just let it just gently open out all the way through the body down to the ground. Through the legs, through the feet. There it is. And then a sense of the earth, that stability underneath us, the structure, that which holds us. And have a sense of that stability through the body. It's not pushing up, it's just supporting through the body. Stable, structured, held. Okay, we've got a connection from above and below, and we've got that openness and that stability. Now I'd like you to imagine something comes along. Let's think. Let's do this from below first. We're going to have a great big sort of metal shielding comes underneath our feet and completely cuts off our connection from the earth. There's no connection from underneath anymore. We've only got the connection from above. And just notice how that feels in the body. Notice if there's any change in temperature or how the mind seems to be active. No connection underneath, only a connection from above. What's it like in the body? What's it like in the mind? Ooh, not very nice. Okay, and that disappears and you reconnect with the earth. Really like scratch the feet into the ground if you can, or move the base a bit and reconnect, sinking into the earth, feeling that lovely, nourishing, supportive, stable quality. A bit of a shake. Okay. And now we're going to do this again, but this time above us, a metal plate comes across, cutting off the connection from above. Now we're only connected with the earth, only connected with the ground. Notice what it feels like in the body. Notice what happens in the sense of the mind. No connection from above anymore. There's nothing. There's just connection from below. How does it feel in the body? What's it like in the mind? Ugh, not very nice. Okay, that disappears. Connection from above again, coming through the openness and flow and the stability from below. And just find a sort of an evenness in that. And just notice now, when you've got a bit more of both, do you notice whether you're still a bit more up or still a bit more down? And if you feel really nicely balanced, great. Then did you notice one being more uncomfortable than the other? When you were disconnected from below and more up, were you more uncomfortable or was it the other way around? Now I'm going to put a poll up. See, this is really uncomfortable but interesting stuff. So is your energy too up or too down? Very much up, very ungrounded. Too up and ungrounded, but not extreme. About balanced. Too down, feel heavy and a bit grounded, or really grounded. And remember that if there's one that you're not too much at the moment, then notice when we were doing the exercise, was there one that was far more obvious than the other? And also, you're welcome to put in the chat any experience that really stuck out for you. What I found really interesting, and I always get this, and I always forget that I get this until I do this exercise, is when I cut off from the earth, I find myself kind of tipping forwards and backwards, like I'm suddenly really top heavy and like can't quite stabilize myself on the ground. And when I cut off from above, I start sinking, like my body feels like it's kind of drooping and sinking down. So, poles wise, everyone now is about balanced. We've done the exercise and we've come back into ourselves. But it's fairly even as to a few people being ungrounded and a few people being a bit heavy. Okay. And Jane says, when I cut off earth, I instantly felt fear, curiously, for fear of being grounded, as though the earth is something to avoid. Annette said the same. And it's a very strange one, isn't it? It can really reveal some interesting things to us. Now, we don't have to read too heavily into it, but it's just really great to be aware of these things. And hopefully, as the session goes on, and we're going to work on a few points today, but there will be one point of the week that we're going to work directly on. Then we'll come to get a greater sense of able to work with these things when we notice them. Suzanne says, whirling disorientation when cut off from the ground, like drowning or not enough breath when cut from above. Wow. And Jane says, when I cut off from above, the head felt closed-minded and blinkered, oblivious to the greater awareness. So that's very interesting. Thank you very much, everyone. Really, really sort of interesting way of approaching sense of connection. We are going to come back into connection now and actually start doing some exercises. Here we go. So when you're ready. So let's start off just getting that connection set up again. So come to your head, floating as if gently suspended from the spine. And that sense of openness from above. Spine hanging down freely like a string of pearls. Drawing that openness through the body. Soft and free in the hips. Soft and open in the knees. Soft and open in the ankles. Feet flat on the ground. Feeling that stability of the ground. Supporting through the legs. Supporting through the hips and the torso. Shoulders relaxed away from the midline. Arms hanging freely. Okay. If you need to make any little micro adjustments, that's fine. And let's just take a nice deep breath into the belly. So take a breath in, let it settle in the belly and breathe out. We'll do another couple of those. Breathing in, really just settling and then letting go. Last one, breathing into the belly and the lower back, breathing in. Settle, let go. Okay, I'm going to start by just, I start actually like this. So with your feet nicely settled, instead of coming up and going down on either side, I'd like you to imagine sinking underneath the ground and taking your weight to one foot. And then sinking into the ground and sliding your weight across to the other foot. Just noticing that. Noticing it coming up and going down, come up and go down. And then the difference between that and sliding it across to one side, sinking and sliding it across to the other side. Okay, and then choose a side to stay on. Let the foot come up. So it's just up on the ball of the foot a bit. And just come forward just a little bit, enough to stretch open the foot and feel the ankle working. And then, like Kat said the other week, if you can, in front of you, stretching the top of the foot. If you can't, lean against the wall, put it behind you, just enough to open the foot up a little bit. I've got quite flexible ankles and toes, so I'm not looking for you to do it as much as me. That's just where I need to go to. So stretching sole of the foot, and then front of the foot, which can be in front of you or behind you, as you prefer. Okay. Now we're going to do some circles. And I don't know whether you can hear it, but my toes are clicking loads. Over the years, I've had lots of accidents, and my toes get very clicky. So other direction if you need to. Nice, big, as smooth as you can make them, circles. And then shaking out the foot, the ankle, and then the calf muscle, and then the knee joint. All this shaking really opens out everything. It allows the qi to flow. It also allows, with the qi to move, it allows the blood to flow. Both of those things are very important for the mind to be clearly filling the whole of our body space. It's not separate, like I said, but now we're doing the thigh, and then the hip joint, however that works for you. Okay. So now, before we move across, checking with both legs, just notice the difference. Ooh, interesting. Big fluffy leg, stuck leg. So now we sink across. Let this one come up. Bit of a stretch of the underside of the foot and back. And the top of the foot, either in front or behind, whichever's right for you. Bottom of the foot again. Pardon me. Apologies, everyone. That's just more opening and releasing of the stomach and spleen. Okay. So now we're going to do a few circles, starting off small and getting bigger. Making it as smooth as you can, as easy as you can. And really take your mind into those spaces of bones and fine tendons and muscles opening out from each other, other direction. And so then the free flow of qi and blood. Qi and blood really work together. The blood exists, the qi flows through it. The qi moves, and so the blood moves with it. It's like they have to have each other. They are a yin and yang partnership, the blood being more yin, qi being more yang. Now, give the foot, you can lean against something, foot a bit of a shake. And the blood is not just the watery, thick red liquid in the body. It's also a tangible feeling of filling up our body space, of being in the squishiness of our body. Calf muscle, knee joint. So when, this is the thigh muscles now, and the hip joint, however that works for you. And just because this one's been still, give this one a bit of a shake out. Our blood, you see, is yeah, great. Our blood has this quality to allow us to feel embodied in ourselves, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. If we are really in our body, if the blood is very well nourished, then we are really well settled in ourselves. And the mind and our very consciousness and the brightness of our consciousness, which we've talked about before as Shen in the heart, can spread throughout the body because the blood is well nourished and grounded in the body. And it is the stomach and spleen that is said to nourish the blood. So you can start to see all these connections being made here. Okay, so we've done the lower half of the body. How does that feel in comparison to the upper half? Okay, so we might need to do the upper half a bit. So you can have a little bit of a bounce so that the lower body doesn't get forgotten. Shake out the hands. So if I'm getting a little bit information heavy on this one, just let me know and I'll shut my face. I'll stop talking. It's all good. But it's quite nice to lay a bit of a foundation so that as we do these things, we're going, oh, yeah. Okay. So you can flop your hands about any old way you want to. And again, it's that thing of opening out the spaces between bones and tendons for the blood and qi to flow. And then we've got the forearms, slightly longer muscles and tendons in the forearms. And if it feels hard to kind of loosen and shake the forearms, then you can just get your hand and kind of like roll it around the bone like this. Okay, and then we've got the elbows. Trying to make nice, as smooth as you can. Joints want to move smoothly. We don't want them like that. No jolting. We just want nice smooth movements. If you can, the other direction. And this opens the sinews around the joints, the ligaments inside the joints. Again, for free flow of blood and qi. Now, interestingly, the free flow of blood and qi through the sinews and joints is the realm of the wood element, which, as we looked at before, is the beautifully controlling cycle for the earth element. So lots fitting together here. Okay, upper arm. This is where we look a little bit silly, and it just doesn't matter because it's like we're all doing a chicken dance. Upper arm going into the shoulders. And we can start doing some, I'm going to move away from the wall, we can start doing some lifting and keeping the shoulder relaxed. So we're not overextending, but keeping the shoulder relaxed. Just let the arm come up and behind a bit, whatever's comfortable for you. So if you've got a sore shoulder and that's as far as you can get, you work to your levels. Don't push past your limits. So for me, I'm going here. This is about as far as I want to go today. I could push it further, but not going to. And if you want to, you can lean a bit more and it opens up the side of the body. Okay. To the other side. Oh, give a click in the shoulder. So I'm not going to go quite as far as that. Opening the side of the body so the ribs get a bit opened. Okay, if you've got glasses, take them off. And we're going to do a little, rub your hands together. We're going to rub the face as if we're washing the face. So bringing a little bit of qi into the hands with a bit of rubbing like this. And then it's like you're scooping qi up. And let some sink into the eyes. nourish the eyes, and then wash the face. Washing the face with Qi. And just going to put my glasses on and I'll come forwards a bit. Okay. So squeezing across the front of the head works with the stomach as well as the large intestine. And if you have headaches just in the forehead, then forehead and sort of sinuses in front of the face, then stomach as well as large intestine are really helpful for this. So across here, and then starting just under the eyes, which is where the stomach channel starts, we're going to just squeeze in, gently pressing in. And you can let your head fall a bit onto your fingers. You can come underneath your cheeks, your cheekbones. You can come out to your jawbone. The muscles of the jaw, incredibly tough muscles in the jaw, and can often get a bit stressed and like that when we don't realize it. So, nice. This is all stomach channel stuff around the mouth, both the upper maxilla and the lower mandible. And feel the gums and where the teeth are like rooted into the gums, because the gums act like the ground of the teeth. So the gums are the earth element and therefore the realm of the stomach and spleen. Okay, and then we've got this lovely bit on the front of the neck. I prefer doing it one side at a time. You see that muscle, that SCM, sternocleidomastoid. We are kind of just pressing into the front of it. Oh, got a lot of tension there, actually. Ooh, interesting. Oh, other side. You might be happy doing both sides at the same time. And what time have we got to? Excellent, halfway through. So the other thing I said, remember the wood element can help to control the earth element. So we've got gallbladder runs around the side, like curves around the side like this, and then down the outside of the neck and shoulders. So we're just going to do some tapping from the eyebrow and edge of the eye, and then around the sides of the head, like that. And just behind the ear, at the occiput, there's a couple of great points in there. You can, if they're really tight, you can just hold them, and it's as if you're aiming up towards the opposite eye for the gallbladder. And then just, you can do this as tapping down the sides of the neck. You can do it as squeezing, that thing where we put our fingers together, or I sometimes do it from above, and I'll show you how I prefer to do it with my thumbs. Here we go. Is that the right level? Yeah. So I actually put my fingers together around my head and then use my thumbs, here we go, to kind of sink in like that. And then it's the weight of my arms are sinking down, and then I'm just intending that pressure to go through the thumbs. Ah, lovely. So you can, if you prefer, squeeze with the palms like this, or just simply tap. Like that. And then, because this is obviously a place where lots of tension builds up, you can hold an elbow and just tap onto the top of the shoulders. This is all gallbladder stuff, which is part of the wood element. As I said, helps to keep the earth element in check. And great at releasing tension that is in the upper downwards. So if we've got too much yang up here, if there's mind is very much caught up and therefore we've got tension in the body, which, as I said, they go together. They're not really separate. When the mind is overstimulated, we tend to have more energy and body tension up top, and vice versa. So we're tapping here, this point and this point helps energy to move down. If you feel there's a chance you may be pregnant, any women out there who are in pregnancy years, this point may be too strong a point to work on. So just leave it alone for the moment, but otherwise, just gently tapping over the shoulder, other side, starting at the neck, going across the shoulder. Ah, lovely. Now, also, as I said, we have not only the controlling cycle where an element jumps an element and goes to the next one, but one element can birth another one. And that is the fire that then goes to create the earth element. So the fire is the realm of the heart. So let's just contact, heart 1 is under the armpit. So just gently connect into the armpit if you're happy to do so. And then we're going to come to heart 7 here. And we've done these points before. We're not having to get really, really specific and into them, but it's just underneath that pointy bone of the little finger side of the palm on the wrist crease. And this is a point for really calming the mind, for nourishing the blood. So heart 1 gets into that fire element. And then heart 7, and just sink into it. And it nourishes the blood. It nourishes the yin aspect of the heart and the fire element. And that really helps with that calming quality for the earth. Okay, so we're really setting things up well. So now, if you've been sitting down, you can come to standing. We're going to start by doing, for the earth element itself, find your belly button, place your hands over it, and have a sense of warmth. Now that we've got lots of energy moving, have a sense of warmth from your hands pouring into your belly. And with that, you can imagine like the most perfect nectar. And we're going to nourish our bellies. That which you feel nourishing most right now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 81 circles of the belly, or thereabouts anyway. So starting, going round, and this is the direction we're going in, coming up on the right, down on the left. So it's clockwise. And get a decent sort of, you can start slow if you're sensitive with this, and then build up a bit stronger, a bit faster. And one of the reasons we do this is it can improve our digestion, which when our digestion is improved, we have, I think, possibly almost as many neurons across our belly, across all the organs in our belly and our torso, as we do in the actual brain. It's amazing, especially the gut and the digestive system. But really, every organ, every major organ in our body has a group of neurons to it. In a sense, it has its own brain. It has its own capacity. Okay. Yum, yum, yum. And remember, this is nourishing. This is working for the spleen and the stomach. And that gives us the capacity to be able to have our mind not up here, but spread throughout. And this is important for feeling more grounded and feeling more clear in the mind. Okay. Well, imagine we've got to 60, 70. Just really, the energy still pouring through and nourishing. And we'll just do the last few. One, and slow down. And then bring it small into the center. And really let that spread out, that lovely nourishing energy that we've just built up, spread into all the organs. And this can help on many levels as well. So for women who are still going through menstrual cycle, this can help also with calming and sometimes evening any irregularities or discomforts that may come with menstrual cycle, because the earth element has a strong influence on that by nourishing and helping to produce the actual blood itself. So really useful. Okay. And then we're going to tap down. So tapping from the belly down to the waist, come out. We're going down the stomach, outer front of the thighs. We've got stomach 36, if you remember, just below the outer edge of the knee, down by a few fingers width. So give that place a good extra wake up. Most tonifying point in all the body. Down to the toe next to the big toe, and then we come back up on the inside edge of the feet, inside edge of the ankles. We've got spleen 6 up here. Again, contraindicated in pregnancy, anyone who may be pregnant. Otherwise, people, great point for lots of things, calming as well as strengthening. Inside, front, up to the belly. We'll do this another couple of times around. Okay. And this is the stomach, and this is the spleen, the earth element. Fresh enough. Okay. How's that feeling? Bit more open, bit more alive, bit more spread out. Checking in with that sense of when you were feeling more up or feeling more down, is it feeling any different or is it still about the same? I've still got a little bit of too much up, so I know I need to work on things a bit more lower down. If you need to work on things a bit more releasing the upper, then we're going to work on the feet. If you need to strengthen, if you need to release too much down here, then I'd like you to work more opening the upper. So if you're more down here and you're wanting to open up, then try doing more of the tapping open here. And then tapping down the lung, large intestine. Sorry, tapping down the lung and then up the large intestine. Do this on both sides. And some stretching open, these sorts of opening stretches of the upper body. So I'm going to leave that to you. And if you're needing to release the sort of up here still, we're going to work down into the lower leg. So I'd like you to be tapping down the bladder. And then coming up the kidney, so squeeze kidney 1, come up, inhale the back of the leg. This is what I'm needing, so I'm doing this one. If you're wanting to more bring energy even, then you can shake out the legs and then do more of the tapping of the upper body, stretching of the upper body. So we've got stretching the back of the leg and just gently getting that. You can step further out if you want. And trying to keep your alignment open. Just let yourself have a fairly straight leg. It's not locked. The knee is still slightly bent. If you look, I'm not locked. But I'm just keeping enough tension there to feel the stretch through the back. And then the other side. So you can either do this with a foot flat on the ground or with a toe raised. And just keep your spine aligned. If you're getting to a point where you're bending over, then just come straight again. Just come from the waist enough to where you need to go to. And again, I'm not locked. My leg is a little bent. Feet working into the ground. We'll do some footwork in a minute for everyone. So if you're still working with the upper body, you've got shoulder rotations, you've got this opening of the lungs. You've also got the opening of the heart protector. So those lovely sort of moves, and the tapping down the middle and that tapping back up across the middle. We're going to do one more in the lower body, which is tapping around the hips, outer edges of the gallbladder, releasing any tension here. And then coming up the liver on the inner edge. It's like the trouser seams. Okay, lovely. And just checking in again. Notice, is there any more of a sense of starting to even a bit more in that up or down? Okay, great. So now we're going to do some nice foot massage work. So I'm going to get my chair. Okay. You can be sitting in a chair, be sitting on the floor, whatever's right for you. Let's start with kidney 1. Good old firm favorite, kidney 1. We all know where that is. 1/3 of the way down. Just underneath the ball of the foot. There's something incredibly last about working into kidney 1, with me at least. What's this? James put in there, I'm more hungry and need to work on 11ths. Well, it's certainly one kind of exercise for the digestion, so go for it. So working into kidney 1, and then you can do a little bit of general squeezing around the foot, opening out between all of those, between all the bones. You can get in there. And, yes, if you find any points where it's a bit painful, generally means that it's a bit obstructed in that place. So it's actually quite good to get in there, even if it is quite sore. That might be an old scar tissue point for me. So you've got the heel as well. Don't want to forget the heel, around the sides of the heel, and that Achilles tendon there. And we've got on the top, do you remember this point between these bones here? Liver 3. So again, that liver point, and this is great not only for smoothly flowing blood and qi, but also bringing things up top to down below a bit more smoothly. And kidney 1 is nourishing. Pull the toes about a little bit. We've got that spleen 6, which is 4 fingers with that from here. So just inside from the bone and the fleshy bit. Remember, this is contraindicated in pregnancy. Anyone who may be pregnant or is doing this point with other people. And I'll come back to point of the week in a second. Yes, Annette, always a bit of a killer, the liver 3. So let's start at kidney. Oh, before we do that, let's just take a moment to recognize how the difference in the 2 feet feel. Yeah, this one I've just been working on. Feels far more broad and open and free, and things are moving. And this one just feels a bit sort of stuck and slow and, yeah, needs work. Okay, so kidney 1, underneath the ball of the foot. Really getting in there. Making space if that's what it needs, or nourishing work if that's what it needs. Don't forget to use your breath if you need to. Strengthening is more in breath. And if you need it to be releasing, it's more the out breath. That's what I'm needing a bit more. Okay, and you've got the rest of the foot. Bit of pain in a couple of places. You've got the heel. Where are we at? We've got 10 minutes to go. Great. And then we've got liver 3. And if we want to do spleen 6 on the inside of there, then we can work down here. Okay, so all playful stuff. Great. Notice how that is now feeling. But don't get up. Not on my account. We have, let me get the slides. Ta-da! Point of the week, spleen 3. So we've got liver 3 just atop the foot, but in the side of the foot, spleen 3. Now, if you notice where that big red dot is, it's just behind the big lump of end of that bone. And you'll notice it's like a great big knuckle on the side of your foot here. And you're just back from the big knuckle. And it's called on the border of the red and white skin. And you'll notice if you actually look at the skin, there's a slight change in both color and texture of skin at that place. So that's the sort of that's the boundary line at the side of the foot, and we're on that boundary line. Okay, so if you'd like, you can just hold that and see what it's like, see where it connects with. Is it more physically local? Is it having a slightly different effect physically somewhere else? Or does it seem like it's having more of an effect in the sense of yourself? Now I'm going to read this. It's called Tai Bai and Supreme White or Supreme Brightness, Great Brightness. Tai, the word Tai is like in Tai Chi. The Tai means great, supreme, great, large, grand. The Bai, I'm guessing, is the white or the bright, the light. And we'll come to that in a second. So it's said to be able to treat heaviness in all 3 of the heaters. So one of the things that the spleen is great for is heaviness in any sense. Now, I talked about sluggishness earlier. You may have even heard the term damp. These are all pretty much the same thing. If we're feeling, if our tiredness is not just like, oh, I haven't got enough energy, it's more like a heaviness of tiredness. My limbs feel heavy. My mind is sluggish and foggy. That's the kind of heaviness that comes. And that's the kind of heaviness that can be cleared with strengthening the stomach and spleen, like stomach 36, and brings that energy to be able to come out to the 4 limbs. And Jane says the white or bright because of lifting the heaviness. Not so much. We'll come to what that is in a second. Okay, so it's great for gastric pain, any stomach or digestive related pains, and even some really serious disorders. It can be incredibly strong at affecting not only the banas in general, but digestive disorders. It's a very earthing point, and it's said to be very supportive as well. Really important, because stomach and spleen are very much like we were talking at the beginning when we connected with the earth. It's very supportive and stabilizing. And being at the foot, it's at the bottom of the body, so it supports everything. The other place that supports a lot, your lower back. So it really relates to the back and that supportive nature. Okay, we'll come off the slide for a moment. Let me read to you as to something of the term brightness. I love this. This is the kind of thing I really enjoy. The image. This Tai Bai, great brightness, is the name for the planet Venus. Venus is often the first and brightest star in the night sky, and sometimes also the last one we'll see. And this is because of its brightness. And because of this, it's been known by many different cultures to be a very, very strong presence in their lives. So this corresponds, interestingly, to the metal of the 5 phases, even though this is Earth. To the ancient astrologers of China, Venus signified the warrior. The planet's movement in the sky was believed to correspond to military conflicts on Earth, who put down uprisings and regained peace. Similarly, this point affects initial stage acute conditions of the large intestine or the yang metal organ. So the reason there's the connection with Venus is the yang nature of its movement. It's right down the bottom, and it has such a strong, bright effect up into here. And the digestion is such a strong effect on our overall energy. It's always worthwhile remembering any points that have a great effect on our energy in general. So we've got spleen 3, spleen 6, and stomach 36, hence why we use these points. But we can also think of it in, like Jane said, brightening the heaviness of the mind. So I'd like us to just take a moment before we work on the other foot. So we've worked one foot. Before we work on the other foot, just take a moment to close your eyes, sink into the body. Notice how the body's feeling. A bit of this up and down, connection above and below. Where are we centered in ourselves? Really notice that sense of centering. And with that comes a sense of the mind. How well centered is the mind? Do we feel a bit skittish? Pardon me. Is the mind a bit overactive, jumping from thing to thing? Or is the mind a bit heavy and sluggish and foggy? It doesn't have to do anything at the moment. We're just noticing. Okay. Noticing with that, does it need to be more grounded and calmed, or more stimulated and lifted, brightened? Now I'd like you to find the point, spleen 3, on your ankle, on your toe, just behind the big knuckle of the toe, and work with which one you have a sense you need. So for me, I'm needing to brighten a little bit, but keep a sense of that stability. So I'm going for a little bit of both. You might want to settle into that point, or you may want to brighten up from that point. Recognize what you need. And then really allow your thumb to be nice and open, or fingers, whichever you're working with. And let the weight of your arms sink. Let the weight of the thumb sink into that point to give it effect. Just notice anything that may come from it. Is there any more grounding? Is there any more clarity? Is there any more brightness? Is there any more steadiness? What's happening with you? Okay. And as we're going to have to come out in a second, I'd like you to, if you'd like, you can make a comment on the chat. I would also like us to just stand up one last time. Have one last little shake off. There we go. And whether standing or sitting, I'd like you to take a moment and end the class as I like us to. So please, before typing anything, just close the eyes. Imagine this circle that we've been as this class, and just really taking a moment to be part of that circle, grounded together, clear together, and thankful together. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Feel free to put anything in the chat that you'd like to before we go. Thank you so much, Sarah, for looking after the chat as well. And next week, we should be going on to the spiritual level of the earth element. Before we take ourselves onto the weekend of the college, and if you'd like to join us for the earth element in the college, please do let us know, and we will be sending an email out to you all. Have a lovely week. See you next time.